Welcome back to Titans All Access. I am joined by our Nissan insider, Peter Skoronski. Peter, we're getting ready to take on the Indianapolis Colts for the second time this season. And that's very different than any other time when you're playing football where you see the same opponent 2 times in one season. Have you gotten used to that yet?
It's definitely a weird sensation. I feel like that doesn't really happen very much. Certainly not in college, and high school pretty unlikely too. So that's kind of part of the NFL, is you get those teams twice. And thankfully we had a nice big break between the first and second time. But sometimes you can get them like twice in 3 weeks, which is always weird. But so it will kind of feel like a new game and not just playing the same game again. But it's still interesting.
It's interesting, and I wonder how that impacts your preparation, because you've seen them once, but it was a few weeks ago, and the Colts looked very different then than they do now. So do you have to completely start over with a brand new game plan and brand new everything the second time?
I wouldn't say brand new. I think they still do what they do structurally in their defense, and they do it well, but they don't, they haven't changed too much per se. But they had guys out last time, they have guys back now, and a lot of different personnel out there too, which is a huge challenge for us. So it is much different, even though you do have some of the same structures overall.
A lot of people talk about not the rookie year, but the jump from year 1 to year 2, and how there's a bit of a challenge associated with that, not because of anything other than you're kind of responsible for establishing your own routines now. Yeah. Did you find that to be a challenge, figuring out what you like?
No, honestly, I feel like I felt more comfortable after learning all of that my rookie year. And now that I've gone through a year, I feel more I know how each part of the year feels, and I kind of have my routine already that I learned from last year and what I would do, what I do differently. So I definitely feel more comfortable in the second year in terms of the off the field and sort of the mental prep. But there's definitely higher expectations. I think that kind of ups the intensity of the second year, and that's kind of where the jump comes from, in my opinion. I do feel a lot more comfortable in a lot of ways. So
J.C. Latham was a first-round draft pick for the Tennessee Titans this year, and he's somebody who's playing right next to you. Do you like that you guys are in similar parts of your career where you're both relatively young and you're close enough to your own rookie year where you kind of understand what he's going through right now?
It's awesome being a first-round pick. It's a blessing, but there's also a lot of pressure and expectation that goes with that. And I can understand that from his perspective. I think he understands that scenario too, and I can relate to that too and feel a lot of the same feelings as he is. So I think that's kind of helped us bond and work together and managing that and being motivated by that too.
And the stability, knowing that barring something unforeseen, you know who's going to be next to you for a while. That's got to be comforting?
For sure. I think an offensive line play, stability, consistency, and being with the same guys is a really huge benefit, and something you always kind of strive for in an offensive line, and knowing that he's going to be there and hopefully be here for a while, which you will, I think. So having that there, it's comforting in my mind. It's also just comforting every time I get to the line. I know here's a guy who's played a bunch of snaps next to me already, who knows what I like to do, knows how I like to treat certain scenarios. So that's a real benefit for me.
What's impressed you the most about him?
I mean, he's got a lot of physical traits that are pretty impressive. I mean, he's huge, he's extremely strong, but he's extremely built. He's not. You hear about all these linemen being kind of big and fat, but that's not really him. But I think his attitude and his intensity is really impressive. He's got a lot of drive. He wants to be great, and he pushes himself to be great every single day. And that's really impressive from a rookie. That kind of desire to be great, I think, is kind of what's driven his improvement this year, which has been a ton of that.
Peter Skoronski, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
We've got more Titans All Access on the way, so stick around.